Happy you are safe. So yeah, my parents are just landed in Puerto Vallarta. I mean, we probably don't want to get political, but it was a little bit scary for thinking about them going there. But they're safe, guys. That's all.
That's good news.
Phones are working. Everything's okay. Yeah,
they're in the sun. They're having a Corona.
That's right.
So nice.
Well, first, got this news that obviously it's tumultuous down in Mexico and specifically in Puerto Vallarta. And we're like, well, you guys can't go. And my dad's response was like, we'll see. It's probably fine. A week from now, it'll be fine. I'm like, okay.
And is it?
Well, I don't know. So far, so good. They've arrived. Yeah. They're in communication. So
I did see on Instagram, so I'm on Instagram every once in a while, but I did see some posts saying that it was okay. From people that live there.
Yes, I did too. But then I was like, it's Instagram. So do I believe it? I don't know. All this fake news. We did look up the what the Canadian websites were saying about it. So it seems to be safe. But anyway, yeah. So
glad to hear they arrived safe.
Yes. They're starting to invest in a March break. So they're there for a few weeks. They always kind of go for a few weeks, which would be nice to go with them for March break.
Yeah, that's what I was
never
thinking.
Book anything on March break.
It's so expensive.
I know.
It's the worst.
I actually forgot that it was March break coming up.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't. Didn't clue in.
Yeah, it does sneak up fast, right?
It does, yeah. And then I was like, oh. And then someone asked, "Are you going away?" And I was like, "Oh, no."
Why?
What is your daughter doing?
She'll do her childcare camp. They just keep it open and keep it going.
That's
and
amazing.
There's no extra fees or anything like that. So I think that's why I forget about it. Same with PA days. I don't know about PA days because I drop her off at the same spot and pick her up at the same spot.
It's so good.
There are people who are cursing you right now. That's a pretty sweet gig. Yeah.
Yeah. Invest in your TDSB childcare program. It's money well spent.
Yes.
My son's school had a really good before and after school program, and now both the schools that they go to don't really have it.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's
now,
unfortunate.
Yeah. So
ours is mandatory, to be able to keep our spot for next year, which I always am like, do you guys actually not have spots? It seems like it's kind of a
they're just threatening you,
kind of.
Sure
so we have to commit to 4 weeks of camp at the school, which is fine because we need 4 weeks of camp anyways, and it's around the corner from our house, and she loves it, so why not? But they kind of have this hold on you, but then there is this nice side where they're open during Christmas holidays, March break, whatever break there is in the fall.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah. My kids are going to soccer camp.
Oh, fun.
And art camp.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
My son's doing art camp as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so today we're chatting with Coralie Olson, who is the National Director of Client Relationships with Partners Engineering and Science, which is a bit of a mouthful. So she's got actually a really interesting kind of career. She started in real estate about 20 years ago, more so in kind of the arts and placemaking area, and has now since made this change, which is more about due diligence work with different asset managers and developers. So excited to see what she has to say and learn a little bit more about partners and kind of how she's kind of adapted through, different career changes that she's made. Let's kick it off.
I'm excited.
Hi, I'm Heather Lloyd.
Hi, I'm Kendall Taggart.
Hi, I'm Kaylee Kelly.
And you're listening to the Real TO podcast, a show where we speak to leading women in real estate. And today we are meeting with Coralie Olson. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Before we get into it, I'm just going to do a little bit of an overview as to what you do. So you have been in the real estate space for over 20 years in a marketing, PR capacity, mainly focused, it seems, around art and placemaking. You've worked with some really great companies, and sounds like you've done this kind of work on a global scale with multiple developers through multiple cities, which is amazing. Recently, you've made quite a big shift into something a little bit different, where you are the Director of Client Relations for Partners Engineering and Science, which we feel like probably needs a description or a little bit more detail from you. So we're excited to get into that. But maybe to start things off, we always kind of say, was this the plan? Was this the intention to get into client relations or to work in kind of the art space and placemaking, to even be in real estate at all from the beginning? Maybe you can kind of take us back and tell us how you got here. Was it a series of events, or tell us a little bit about your background story.
Sure. It definitely was not the plan. Sometimes I think maybe I should have had more of a plan, but always think that every experience leads to the next experience. So try to not have, any regrets. So I did start my career in communications and marketing and worked in different sectors. So technology, finance, fashion, luxury, and then real estate. And yes, so as you were saying, and then from marketing, communications, sort of pivoted. Well, first of all, I started in really back in the day in PR.
Right.
When I think it was a much different industry, when there were newspapers, no podcasts, before Facebook, I mean, obviously before TikTok and any of those things. So I think back about PR, and it's a lot of like business development to an extent, right? You're sort of pitching stories and talking to journalists, sort of like business development. And then I sort of pivoted into digital marketing as the industry started to change, and more of the spend and effort was online versus traditional forms of media. And then thought, okay, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't even know how many years at that point, and had an opportunity to do something a bit entrepreneurial in the placemaking and creative space, and always really loved art and design, and thought it was a great opportunity to make that change.
Yeah. So maybe tell us a little bit more about that placemaking, art, design. Like, I know that you spent quite a bit of time building that, and you were a partner at that company. So.
Yes.
And then I think, like you said, you kind of had a global reach with respect to that. So maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. I think, when we started, I feel like it was fairly new, this sort of notion of placemaking. I think that it's a lot more prevalent now, and I think you hear it a little bit more.
Sorry, just on placemaking, like for people maybe that don't know, like what is placemaking?
Right. So really it is, how do you create a sense of place in a space? So whether that is in a master plan community or in a shopping center, it can be residential, office, airports. And so really it's, looking at, it can be art and creative elements, but it can also be sort of functional things like, furniture and design, and then programming. So how are you going to animate the space? So what type of, programming are you going to have? And so really looking at that strategically and trying to think long term how to bring in all of those elements into either an existing space or in a new development.
That is very helpful, because I feel like we hear placemaking all the time, and I kind of pretend like I know what people are saying, but that definition is perfect. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you sort of think about it as, architects and designers are thinking about the physical space and planners, and placemaking is really thinking about how is a person, or how are the people going to move through the space and feel in this, feel in that space. So it's everything from like signage and wayfinding, to the benches or the playground even, or maybe it's public art that's incorporated. And so it's looking at all of those things together and trying to create an identity. So this place identity or a place brand. It's like the cultural and social infrastructure of a place is how we think about it.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
That's really cool. So where would you say was your favorite spot or activation that you did?
Yeah, there's a few great ones I think that stand out. But before I left, we were working on an airport project in the U.S., a really large airport, one of the busiest in the world, and they really wanted, a strategy for the entire passenger experience. So how do you think about not just art for art's sake, but how is it being connected to, the signage or the advertising that's happening, and the design, working really closely with the architects and the design teams. And I think it's a place that people don't necessarily think about, creativity, but also thinking about, when do you want to have a moment of pause? Because, airports can be really stressful. So there's moments of when you're going through security, you don't want to have something loud and in their face. You want to create a moment of, calm, in those spaces. But then where are the spaces that people are lingering? And so there's going to be a sense of pause. And so maybe there's something more interactive there. And so, again, really trying to think about what's the strategy and the plan behind it over a long period of time. As well as actually one of the interesting projects was a development in Toronto that I think everybody knows, Downs View, which is, 500 acres. It's happening over 30, 40 years. And so, again, it's a really long-term view of a huge space, but I think that had a lot of really interesting elements to it. And really, we tried to also think about, really measuring what we were doing. So really understanding, what does the community want, making sure that there was engagement happening, before, during, after, on-site observation to see how people were using the space, what do people want to see in the space, testing, piloting. We did a pilot with the Toronto Waterfront BIA, which I think was really successful because we were able to incorporate all of the feedback that the community was telling us, and then we were able to see it in action and then sort of do post-measurement. So I think that was also different with what we were doing, was trying to create a bit of process and rigor to, again, not just like art with a capital A for art's sake, but really think more strategically and long-term about how it really connects to the community and connects to, because every community is different. So to your point, we were working globally. So what works in Toronto is not going to work in rural Texas, for example, or Florida, or projects in the Middle East, or in, Dubai, for example. So again, it's really important to have that research and that context before you start really just like putting things in, but doing the research up front, I think, was really important, and I enjoyed that part of it. Yeah.
What was the most surprising, I guess, work that you did? Like, did you go in somewhere and you're like, this is a slam dunk, I know exactly what they need here, and it was the complete opposite? Was there any experience like that, or just surprising in general?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, actually, I think, some of the most, I would say, successful projects that we did were the simplest. Sort of like scaling it back and making it really accessible. So again, trying to think about, because you want to figure out how do you maximize the use of the space, because you could spend a lot of money on one thing that's static, or you can sort of, use the entire space in a more cost-effective way, but make it a little bit like less barrier to entry. So, we were, you want to have sort of intergenerational use. So seeing like, kids being able to interact in the same space is like, maybe older people, and having something for everyone. So I think that was surprising that it doesn't always have to, you don't always have to spend a lot of money. It doesn't have to be, so avant-garde. It can be, like a little, you can make it accessible.
That's awesome. I feel like I'm never going to walk through an airport and think about it the same way.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, I want to go to an airport. Yeah. But I like to go on vacation. But I'm definitely going to go like even malls, walk through malls. Now I'm like, what's different about Sherway than the Eden Center? Yeah. Like those kind of things. That's really cool.
It's really true. Cool. We did a lot of shopping center work.
Yeah.
A lot of them with sort of, cool. Activations to draw people in.
And so now, from that space, you've now moved to a different space.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about where you are now and what your company does.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a bit of it's a pivot. It's still in commercial real estate. Mm-hmm. So when I was working, in marketing and communications, it was commercial real estate, and then it was creative placemaking. So it's the same types of clients. It's just consulting in a much different capacity. Right. So it's called Partner Assessment Corporation, and we do third-party due diligence reporting. So environmental, engineering, energy, ESG, sustainability, appraisals coming soon to Canada, and also construction monitoring, progress reporting. So essentially ESA, so phase 1, phase 2, geotech, zoning, surveying, remediation, and also building condition reporting.
Predominantly for commercial and retail or like just industrial, commercial,
all
retail?
asset classes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's for all asset classes, and so the company is one of the largest in North America,
Right.
and we are focused on third-party reporting and due diligence. It's the core of what the company does. We have 40 offices around the world.
Wow.
And, growing and expanding in Canada, it's a natural progression. And we touch a significant amount of real estate transactions throughout North America.
That's amazing. Very different.
Very
than where
different.
you were. Yeah.
Very different. A lot of similar clients.
Okay.
But obviously the internal contacts are different.
Yeah.
With the clients. But yeah, similar clients.
Throughout your career, you've had some pivotal career moves. Mm-hmm. So what made you decide to make the change into where you are recently or where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think I really enjoyed what I was doing. It just felt time to try something different. And I think just expand my own learning and growth, and really enjoyed working, in the commercial real estate space, and wanted to just see a different aspect of it. And it wasn't a plan, to be honest. It just came up. This opportunity came up for a role that was, mostly based in Canada, and that worked for me personally, for my lifestyle and my family. And I was really pulled by, I think, the culture of the company. So, every person that I met through the interviewing process, I felt really drawn into. And I was really impressed with the fact that everyone I talked to has, all of the founders have been there since day one. They're still there since 2007. Wow. And then, everyone else that I talked to has been there for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, 16 years. And so I thought that said a lot about the culture. And I could just feel like an instant, I thought, like connection and synergy with the team, both, from an executive perspective, but also the team in Toronto, who they're amazing, really talented, engineers and geologists. And
amazing.
So, yeah, that's, I think, really part of what drew me in. And then also the opportunity to learn a different side of the business. So, yeah.
Especially since you've been working, essentially you said that you had worked with the same clients, just on the different side of that. So, yeah, so you probably see some familiar faces or a little wave, say hi.
Exactly.
But you're essentially looking through a different lens and learning different things. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I just felt like, just wanting to learn and grow and evolve and see where it takes me. And just, I think that's important to keep sort of, you keep yourself stimulated, and maybe that's part of my personality. I don't know. I'm very comfortable with change, clearly.
Well, we should get into that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think you did mention before, when we were talking before, that you love growth and change and challenging yourself, which is pretty amazing.
Well, it's a pretty brave thing, I think. I think for a lot of people, it's very easy to get comfortable in one spot and stay where you are, and to push forward and to try something different. Even though there's similar intersections, I guess, with respect to where you were and where you are now, it is a brand new area as well for you. So it's really admirable that you take those changes and make those moves. Do you think that's part of your personality? Do you think that that's just something you push yourself to do, or does it kind of come naturally?
I think it comes pretty naturally.
Okay.
I think the older I get, the more I have to push myself. I think when I was younger, it was maybe it was not so tired. I find the changes can be more exhausting now. When I was younger, it was easier. But yeah, I just have always had this belief of, if you want to change your situation, you can change it. I think I'm really optimistic and try and see things really positively. And I always think, put one foot in front of the other, and you can do it. When after university, I moved to Thailand for 2 years, and people go, well, that's great. How'd you do that? Just one backpack. And I don't know. I just always have this maybe naive belief that it's going to work out, and that, I think you have one life to live and make it full and try and have as many experiences as possible. And so I think part of that too is I really like, meeting new people, learning from new people. And so, yeah, I think it's always been in me, but so it does come pretty naturally.
Yeah.
And it's not without its challenges.
Sure.
For sure. Some days I think, if I had just been doing this for the last 20 years, maybe I don't know, maybe I'd have my network would be bigger, deeper, whatever. But
then I would argue that maybe you wouldn't have the foundational, knowledge that you have to even get this job that you're doing now kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's a lot of, transferable skills that you can take from the different experiences. And in some cases, I think it's a positive, right? Because you can take learnings from a different industry that, for example, working in technology or working in finance before and sort of apply that knowledge that maybe someone who's only worked in this industry has never been exposed to. So I do think that there's this lens, even living overseas, I think it broadens your perspective. You sort of have the ability to think about things differently or see things differently or have this capacity to understand, okay, things can be done differently in different parts of the world. And it's not necessarily worse or better or the right way or the wrong way to do things. There's just different ways to do things. And so I think that experience living overseas, even though it was a long time ago, it was obviously really instrumental in my life and taught me one of the biggest things was to have a great respect for another culture and an understanding that the way that things operated were so different and at times frustrating from our sort of North American, fast-paced way of living. But it did teach me that there is this other way, and just because we do it like that is not the only way. So I think that's interesting.
It's so true. And your role now at Partners it's building relationships,
yes.
right? And do you find that that's something that, a skill that you had, and it's not even a skill, I would say, it is just something that is ingrained in you. Do you feel like that's something that's really kind of taken you through your career so far?
I think so, definitely. I think I found it really easy to connect with people, to build relationships. And I think that also what I found when I was working in communications and marketing that I started to learn about myself was that I didn't maybe necessarily love the craft of it, but I liked the relationship part of it.
Right.
I actually liked more the sort of client growth or, the company growth strategy. And then so that's how I sort of, pivoted more into more of a business development, client relationship facing role. So yeah, I do. I find it very easy. My friend says that if you take me to a cocktail party, you can just leave me. I can talk to anybody.
Do you feel like that's the side of the business or the industry that you've really fallen in love with? Like you can tell that your face lights up when you start talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's great bringing people together too. I think I'm also so grateful for all of the people who have helped me, who have made introductions, who have gone out on a limb. There's so many. And I think, okay, that's amazing that these people are going to, everybody's busy, not just with work, but with, full lives. And so someone's going to take this time to help you. So I really try and do that as well, to try and be a connector, to connect people as best I can, when I can. And I think it's amazing to see I find that Canada, it's so small, the industry is small, and it just feels like there's so much support for the most part that people want to support each other.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do. I mean, I just think you never know. You meet someone and then they can become a lifelong friend. And I always think that in work, you're not necessarily going to remember the campaign or what the fourth quarter results were, but all of those people that you worked with. And I am so fortunate that a lot of people that I worked with from my 20s onward, I'm still really close with and have become really close friends. You spend all of that time together, and that's what you remember, I think, about it. So the relationships are really important.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's those relationships have been your biggest accomplishment so far throughout your career? I mean, career's not done yet, but the high point of where you've been so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think the relationships, for sure. I worked at this amazing company when I started. this agency, and then the owner sold it and started another agency, and I was fortunate enough to work there. And there was a reunion last year for all of the people that worked there. And a lot of people I've stayed in touch with, and then a lot of people I haven't seen since 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just thought they've created this amazing ecosystem of people who have stayed connected, through, in some of them you're closer to than others, but I went to this reunion, and it was so special to see all of these people, and I just thought, I have really positive memories of working with, everyone. I didn't have a negative memory, and so I think that's really unique and special.
So Partners in them, sorry, you gave us the name of what they're called in Canada.
Yeah, Partner Assessment Corporation.
Partner Assessment Corporation. So it actually, when you describe it, it sounds like almost daunting. Like seems like so many things that have to come together. And so the service that you offer is intended for developers or asset managers that are working with their properties to kind of take them to the finish line, get approvals in place. Is that correct?
Yes. So essentially it is part of the transaction process. So if it's an acquisition or disposition, there's due diligence required.
Okay.
And so we work with developers, asset owners, also lenders, our clients, and then the borrowers. So it's really about, if someone is about to acquire land, then they need, an environmental report done. Or if they're acquiring a building, so then the building condition report. But it's also used for refinancing, so understanding the condition of the asset, and also for CapEx planning. So the industry, I think, used to really, you're sending reports, and it's a bit old school that they're PDF reports.
Okay.
And apparently back in the day it was like printed out and put in binders, and there were binders of these reports. And so Partner has really invested in technology, so AI and technology, to create proprietary software so that, a lot of the clients have a portfolio of assets in the hundreds. And so they have access to this database that has all of the information, all of the reports rolled up, so that they're able to understand from a CapEx planning perspective, what investments do they need to make over the next few years across all of their assets. And it can kind of, get as granular as, how much money do we need to spend on replacing our roof, the roofs, or different like HVAC systems. And I might not be doing it justice. But
no, it sounds right. So if somebody had if they had a new set of assets or a new asset and a new mandate, they could come to Partners and have that assessed through you guys as well.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. And you're national in Canada, or
so we
predominantly?
So we're national in Canada. Okay. So the team has the ability and has worked across the country, so in every province. And we've worked on projects from Toronto, GTA, to small little towns in rural Manitoba.
Amazing. Yeah, okay, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great. So it's going well so far.
It's going really well. There's a deep, I'd say, breadth and depth of technical knowledge in the company. There's 1,500 employees, and so it's really deep specialty on everything from seismic to construction to, remediation, geotech, affordable housing.
So interesting.
It's really interesting. Yeah. It's a really, talented group of people, and the company's growing and doing really well. So I think it's exciting to be, part of this growth expansion in Canada.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. It feels like also, I felt like when we spoke earlier about your experience in kind of placemaking, it felt somewhat entrepreneurial. Like I know you were there from the beginning. Does this have a similar feeling to it?
Yeah, definitely. It's actually funny that you say that, because I was just thinking about that today, that it is a bit entrepreneurial in a way. So what's great about it is I have a lot of autonomy in Canada, but also have all of these resources to support me. Right. From all of those technical specialists that I mentioned, a really talented team here in Canada, but also, a great marketing team and those types of resources and support that I can rely on.
Right.
But it is, I think, entrepreneurial in a way, and the company is very entrepreneurial, and the CEO, says that if you have a great idea, bring him a great idea.
Perfect.
So, he's open. So I think that they're really open to what are the opportunities that we can see, and I wouldn't be surprised that if we start expanding our services soon.
So it seems like it's kind of a niche organization. Would you say that, specializing in appraisals and the due diligence period is intentional, or are you looking to expand a little bit bigger?
So I'd say it's very intentional. There has been some expansion. The company started with, I think really, due diligence, and then we've expanded into, partner energy, and then the appraisals in the U.S., not yet in Canada. But yeah, I think Joe, who's the CEO, who's really an inspiring and interesting individual, saw this opportunity to really focus in on this space and become experts at this space. So the amount of reporting that the company is doing is in the tens of thousands every year. And so I think there's this deep expertise that the company has in terms of the types of reports. And then I think when you layer on the data piece, it's really becoming almost a data company,
right,
in addition to being a consulting firm, but because of all the data that we have with all of these reports, so giving the clients the access to the data, and I think that's an exciting. Just exciting to see where that's going to go.
Yeah, an interesting way to to kind of take this to the next level. Sort of reposition themselves differently from perhaps other groups that are out there. It must be a big company because they have a new employee summit, which when you said that, I was like, holy smokes, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. So the growth is really exciting. We are hiring over 400 people this year. Wow. And
in Canada or in this
globally,
globally,
and I believe we've already hired 100 people this year.
Wow. And it's just March. Wow.
Yeah, and it's just March. So it's really exciting, and I think the growth is amazing, and there's so much potential. So just working to try and recreate the success in the U.S. in the Canadian market.
Right. That's exciting.
If you were to go back, what would you say is one of the biggest lessons or one of the hardest lessons that you had to learn?
To create strong relationships, to keep those relationships throughout your career. I think that's been a great lesson, to see some relationships that are 20, 25 years in, because you never know where you're going to end up or where someone else is going to end up. And so I think it's always to create, to maintain those positive relationships, and that network, I think, has been a really valuable lesson this many years into my career.
Yeah. If you were to maybe sit down with somebody who was contemplating a move into a field that's entirely different than what they're currently in, and that's probably like fairly topical for, certainly pre-construction real estate these days. I think people are kind of, they're at a crossroads. The market has been challenging. So some people are probably thinking about what a shift might be and how they can use transferable skills. But I think also as you get older, making that move, especially as you get older and you get more comfortable and you have more responsibilities at home and these types of things, can be so much more scarier to do that. What advice would you give to somebody who's maybe grappling with that decision?
Yeah, I think it's kind of what you said in terms of transferable skills. I think it is really have a belief in what those transferable skills are, and not be too worried about maybe the technical side of the job. I mean, to a certain degree, because obviously I'm not going to become an airplane pilot.
You might.
Maybe. I don't know. That's for me. But I think within reason, I think that a lot of that can be learned.
Right.
I think that was one thing that I just wasn't too concerned about with this new role. I thought, okay, well, I'm making a pivot in terms of the types of consulting services. They're very different than what I was doing before, but I thought, well, it's a similar industry. Yeah. People are people, relationships, matter. And that I can learn from the technical people around me. So I think it's just really being confident in those transferable skills that you can apply to something new. And I think it's a little bit of blind faith.
Right.
Not overthinking it too much, because I do think that, some people have a tendency to say, well, what if this goes wrong, or what if this goes wrong, or the negative? And so maybe that can serve you if you just,
let go a little bit.
Yeah, let go a little bit. I mean, obviously, to your point, you need to be pragmatic. And
right. But as women, I think we do worry and we do overthink to some extent. We won't paint us all with the same brush, but
definitely.
I mean, a lot of women do overthink a lot of things. So yeah, that probably is very good advice to just maybe relax a little bit about it. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, relax a little bit about it and know that will come.
Or trust in yourself and your foundational knowledge, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah, I think trust in yourself and that foundational knowledge, and you can apply it to different roles or even different industries.
Right.
Was that something that was on your mind when you were thinking about making a change? Was there a fear or a doubt, or were you like, you know what, I got this?
I mean, for sure. Yeah, I think it comes and goes, right? I think there's moments where you think, I 100% I've got this. And then, there's daunting moments of, this is new, and oh my God, what did I get myself into? And there's so much to learn. But for the most part, no, it's been really positive. I'm very optimistic and confident in this, making it successful. I also think that, I don't know. I have a personality which is, not to fail. So
right.
You'll get it done.
Yeah, it will get done,
It does sound like people are a big driver for you. Like you said, you met with the new team that you're with now, and it was about connecting with their personalities. And you've kind of harkened back to different groups you've worked for and the relationships. And I think that is really important. At the end of the day, work is obviously important. Work is work, but you're with the same people more than you're with your family in some cases, and you're all driving towards the same goal in some cases. So I think it's your perspective on relationships and people, I think is a good one. It's a good lesson for people to kind of take with them. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is there
shout out to my amazing team in Toronto. All the really smart, talented, technical people that I
you're right
on.
in there with them.
Yeah, for sure.
There's magical people that make it happen.
Right. Yeah. Nice. So before we kind of close things off, is there anything else you want the audience to know about Partners?
I think, we pride ourselves on understanding that we are working in the transactional world. So speed of a deal is really important. And so we pride ourselves on working quickly at the pace that our clients need us to work on to not slow down the transaction or the deal. We also pride ourselves on having one point of contact. So a lot of our clients are large and they have assets all over North America, all over the world. And, the work is getting done in different geographies, but, one point of contact, which is me in Canada, by the way. And then we'll assign one project manager so that they don't have to talk to different people in different geographies. And I think that what we're doing from a data perspective is really compelling.
Okay.
And that we can, put all of these services together. So, and if anyone wants to learn more, they can reach out to me, and I'm assuming my contact information will be.
Yeah, we'll
definitely connect with me on LinkedIn.
For sure. Yeah, we'll add your LinkedIn bio link into our caption on the podcast for sure. So absolutely.
Great.
That's great. Thanks so much for coming in, Coralie.
Thanks for
coming.
It was
so nice chatting.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right, that wraps up our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in learning more, you can find us on LinkedIn and on Instagram. We're at thereal.to podcast. If you want to listen to further episodes or earlier episodes, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. And if you're interested in sponsoring us, please feel free to reach out to us through LinkedIn, or you can email us at thereal.to podcast@gmail.com. And I think that's it. Again, thanks for joining us.